the RMF Subathon PCF. We are we're here for the RMF Subathon. We are working towards donating to PCF, and today we have Spiels and Feels. GavinXI, welcome to the show.
Hello. So to our non-Librian audience, nice to see you. Thank you for having me on Repent. I'm glad to be here. Big supporter of PCF yearly, just through Games Done Quick and other related marathons like that. So once again, marathon, subathon, happy to donate to PCF as always, and join you for this.
Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, that's actually how, funny enough, that's how I got introduced to PCF as well, is Games Done Quick. It seems like speedrunning is kind of a commonality, I think, that we both share, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is more than impressive that you are a world record holder, and you're one of the few world record holders that I know personally as a friend. So I mean, you're kind of celebrity whenever I think of how I feel about speedrunning in general. So yeah, honored to be here as far as that angle goes.
Yeah, I'm appreciate it. I'm not a speedrun world record holder anymore. I wish I was.
You had one, but you had one.
I did have one. Yeah. No, and you know what though? I'll take that to heart. I still have one. in your heart, I have one. So something that I wanted to do for this one particularly is continue that tradition. How has your last 7 days been? How have you been this week?
I have been appropriately busy. So this is not my chance to have a therapy session to complain. So I will spin the positives. All right. I have been busy. I have been helping work clients realize their goals, even though they might not quite know them themselves. I have been learning how to communicate effectively in the face of adversity. I've been playing Mega Man Battle Network and a few fighting games on the side. So it has not been a bad 7 days. It has been a busy 7 days, a challenging 7 days, but it has been well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as well, you could complain a little bit if you want to, but
I'll leave it there.
Okay. What kind of work do you do, just for the people not in the know in the RMF community?
Yeah, I mean, this is I have one of those jobs that kind of consumes my personality. I don't necessarily want to say like, this is my entire character, but sometimes it is. So I live stream for a living, but not the fun kind. The agenda, academics, policy. I work for a company that does live stream production in the Mid-Atlantic US. So my day job, I am running streams for all sorts of organizations, people, many of which people here have heard of, none of which I can really talk about directly. But it is it's a lot of fun. I spend 8 hours a day working on live streams or to prep for live streams, and then I turn around, eat some dinner, and stream some more for Twitch. So yeah, that is my background, is in live stream broadcasting.
Yeah, so that, I mean, to say that it's your whole personality does, like, I don't know, I always leave that up to the person, because sometimes I feel like if you take that away from somebody, it doesn't do them justice. But it does sound like a large portion of your life has been dedicated to the pursuit of like professionalism in broadcasting, and that's super cool. I don't think I have anybody that I know personally that has that background. That's sick.
You know, really cool. It's funny because I was just like 15, 16, 17 when I kind of like discovered Justin TV and Twitch and like kind of birth of that. And I was helping a friend, a larger streamer at the time, with podcasts and such, and getting used to XSplit and OBS and all these programs. Adobe FMLE, if anyone remembers how to live stream from the late 2010s. But I went to college and I was offered an internship with our sports department at our college. and they took me to the live stream control room, and I just had that moment. It's like, wait, this is kind of what I'm doing, pressing buttons, switching scenes, switching cameras, creating shows. This is a real job? Hold on a second. I can make a career out of this, and somehow magically I ended up doing it. So I mean, I think a lot of people who live stream on Twitch use skills daily that actually, there are professionals out there. I mean, you're watching any live program on TV, there's someone out there pressing a button to make every single thing you see on the screen switch cameras and such. So
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about it that way. I usually kind of view it as like everyone has their own skill set, and that kind of goes into what they do. But yeah, some of those directly transfer into the real world, and that is really cool. I'm excited to hear that from you. A more touchy topic, I feel like, that we have on, we have like,
I'm ready.
Yeah, same thing for every Spiels and Feels, even though this is only the second one. We have a docket, and one of the first things on our docket, it's a hybrid VTubing. And when I think about that topic, I get a little hot under the collar, because I see it and I'm like, this is what I do. And Aurora is more of like a mascot than a co-streamer that comes on regularly. And I don't know how I feel about that anymore, because I don't play that character nearly often enough to say they're a regular part of the stream. But she's still my mascot. What about you and your VTuber? Because I think you're in the same kind of situation, right?
It certainly sounds relatable. I'll put it that way. And it's funny you call it a touchy subject, because this is, at the end of the day, it is how you tackle the subject of identity, right? Both whether it's how personal that is to you, or if it is just something as a hobby. So for reference, for those in the RMF community who are not familiar, I stream with an alternate VTuber sometimes named Gavin, right? Very on the nose, which is the whole point. When my community got into VTubing, I wasn't really into it. And I do incentives all the time for my stream, so we did a joking one. Gavin starts VTubing. And one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden this cat girl appears on the screen about half a year later. Very rudimentary through virtual reality, not anything official, but Navin's become a fixture and a meme and an actual thing. And like, I've expanded on what the personality is, what the character is, what Navin is as a mascot, as an alternate streamer, as me, as not me. And it's very like, I've not really opened it up to my community if it's touchy or not, but I have these things running in my head. I know my community takes it with some degree of seriousness and some degree of levity, but it is certainly one of those things where it's like, well, I can really go in any direction with this from where I'm at now. Should I go in any direction with it? I have a Niavin committee in the background of a mod or two where we discuss this topic of what Niavin 2.0 looks like. We've commissioned art for Niavin to kind of like have some concept art for what Niavin 2.0 might look like. So yeah, it's I guess, and I presented this topic to you as something we might want to talk about. Even the phrase hybrid VTubing is kind of just like the closest I can get to calling it, but it's not exactly correct either, right? It's whatever. I think we are in similar boats where, man, like, you can do anything with it or nothing. It's a very like, it is very approachable, I guess. I don't know. That's my spiel.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's the name of the show. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's really cool that you have already a 2.0 in the works. That's super awesome.
I say in the works. In the works is very, very maybe we can define it as that.
Yeah,
it is somewhere in the thought with one PNG existing.
You have art being commissioned for it. That's already a further step than I think most people would be able to say. what do you feel about the identity topic? That's something I've grappled with for a while. And not, you know what, I like that attitude of we're not gonna complain about it. It's not here for like a soapbox, but it is Spiels and Feels.
Sure.
So if we were ignoring the feelings, then I feel like it'd be disingenuous. I get really worried that my identity as myself, that my identity as a Twitch streamer, or even my identity as Aurora will kind of all either meld into one, or one of them will get left behind. And they're all me. And so I've had to come to grips with, like, it's okay for you to be all of those things that you have in your mind. But it's hard because just a small history lesson so you can have it all out in the open. Repent MF is a popular turn of phrase from the cult classic TV show Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. And it's like during their transformation sequence, and it's a very raunchy show. And I made the name for my Twitch account when I was 15 years old, 16 years old. And so I don't necessarily resonate with liking that show anymore. But I do still respond to, I tried being a different name. I changed my name to Theo, short for Matthew. I changed my name to RMF for this past year, and it didn't fit. It didn't go with what I want. So that acronym is still me. I'll respond to RMF, but really Repent is what I identify as. Do you have anything similar that you've gone through, or any hardships in that category?
I have a very light example. So I'll start with usernames, right? Since that's where we're going. With how you started it. In the very early days of myself being online, very early Gavin, I might have had a Naruto username on Xbox Live when I was 13. And then I discovered what a good video game like Tales of Symphonia was, and I went by Kratos for a few years, not too long, but Kratos was often confused with Kratos from God of War, which I felt very disrespected. Like, obviously Kratos Arion is the much better Kratos, and it got to the point where, this is just not working out for me. I got very lucky in that Gavin is a reference to Phoenix Wright, the Ace Attorney series, Clavier Gavin from Apollo Justice, the fourth game. And I've never stopped loving that character. It has been a long time since I've had to interact with that character playing the game, but I got very lucky that I have a name that is a real name, a very normal name, still a reference. So as far as like my username identity goes, I've gotten very lucky that I found one for a long time that has resonated with me in a personal way and still kind of blends in a vague way, right? I guess your call if you want to talk about kind of the hybrid VTubing angle to this with Nyavin. That answers the second half of your question, not necessarily the first. I can go deeper if you want.
Yeah, wherever we want to take it is fine with me. Because for my thing, for my portion of that with Aurora, I'm not really comfortable with using my own voice and Aurora being on screen. For some reason, it doesn't mesh in my mind. So I actually have a voice changer. I use a program called VoiceMod. And I created a profile because it deals with VoiceMod uses AI voice changing, but there is also a mode where you can just fix the frequencies, you can fix the pitches, and so I change it that way, and then I have a profile that I've set up, and the profile is called Definitely Just a Girl. And so when I think about that, I'm like, well, Aurora is a girl. She is she, her. I am he, him, but they feel like they're both me. And for that, it's just unknown territory for me. I don't mind going over that. That's just a little bit more about me. I don't mean to
No. I will approach this directly then. Something I'm not sure. I don't know if any Gavin community folks are in here, but I've made a very conscious effort to never gender Gavin. For a very related reason, right? Um, and it's I guess I'm basically a step behind you on that. Is that I don't want to present as another identity that I don't know if I want to do that,
Right.
right? So obviously Navin is femme-leaning, very obviously. I am not, right? Um, but there's definitely like a spectrum there, and can I present that way? Absolutely. Do I as Navin? Sometimes, right? But I don't try to gender Navin for that reason, right? I don't want to say I don't want to get into that discussion with my community yet, right? Um I maybe one day with Navin 2.0, I don't even know if that will be on its own channel. I don't know if that's going to be kind of something that is a small meme feature every once in a while. It's the Navin stream, right? What's the
Right.
what's the level of takeover there? Do I go all in on this other identity with Navin, right? It probably won't be named Navin at that point, right? And at that point, it stops becoming a community meme. It stops becoming a community alt. I mean, I won't even call it an alt. We take it very seriously sometimes, right? I do try to like have fun acting the character, right? But then I don't know exactly where the uh the acting ends and the character begins, right? So am I acting as this character or am I being this character, right? There's a big difference as you're explaining and discovering, right?
Exactly.
Um so that's somewhat of a cop out answer because the answer ultimately is I don't know yet. I do know that I want to take this question very seriously because it's respectful. I want to be respectful to myself, the character, how my community affects the character. Um, yeah, I've thought about this at length. So this is like a topic that I've thought hard about because I don't want to present Niavin as something Niavin is not. Um, that I haven't decided yet. And I'm sure you know with Aurora being a mascot as well that uh characters can take a life of their own, defined by you and defined by community, right?
Yeah.
So
We
as
have
she
seen
dances in
that.
the middle of the screen. And I lean into it, and but you know, how does Niavin react to that? How do I react to that? Am I okay with this? Am I okay with it not? I let people gender Niavin however they want. I personally don't, but it helps me learn exactly like how people feel about this character and feel about how I act as this character. So that yeah, that's definitely going deeper into the identity question and very relatable with what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we can find so much common footing on that because I so often in those topics I feel like I'm alone, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel like they're alone. So to have like that connection and the through line just makes the world feel a little bit closer together, and that's always really cool. I really like that.
Yeah, I think that us who, I mean, I feel like we are in a somewhat small niche as far as how we approach this topic. I feel like most people, I mean, most people, for, okay, just to get into the feels a bit harder and get a bit seriously about it, right? A lot of people use their VTubal models to tackle gender conformity at the end of the day, right? And
Right.
their gender identity and dysphoria, right? Am I that? I maybe still working it out. But I think that when that is the case, there are more people. A lot of people are they're brave. They're just going right into it. They are presenting the way they always want to look, and that's what VTubing means to them. I don't necessarily have that strong of an emotional attachment to it. Um, but I'm discovering it. I'm discovering if I do or not. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's something that it's important because it's another outlet that I think gives people a chance to discover themselves in different ways. Um, I think VTubing does that. I think streaming does that at a larger, broader picture. And I think there are a lot of things that the gaming community has, the streaming community has, that are exactly like that.
Mhm.
speedrunning, streaming, VTubing, uh, competitive fighting games, all of those things are all new ways to rediscover yourself and kind of look at who you are and say, who do I want to be, in line, in parallel with who I am now, or in addition to, like,
Right.
that's really cool.
We should definitely talk about the community fighting game angle of that. I'll mention one. Do you play VR chat at all? Have you been in VR chat?
I got an Oculus about a year ago. I don't know if that's the only way to play VR chat, but VR chat is pre-downloaded on my Oculus.
You know, Oculus users have a limited availability in VR chat because they only see like what's in the ecosystem as opposed to PC, which is very modded, right?
Okay.
So you won't exactly see the topic I'm about to get at. You can play it on desktop. You just kind of run around. But that's a realm where avatar, gender, and personality all don't matter. There are plenty of dudes running around and masculine presenting who are in female avatars, and it just doesn't matter in that game. People just it's exactly like what your avatar is, your profile picture on Discord. It does not tell you anything about your personality. It's just
right.
Right now I've got Mio from The Witch from Mercury. We just finished that up. It alludes to nothing about who me is as a person, and VR chat works the same way. So that's another one of those like spaces on the internet, like you mentioned, streaming FGC, where people can present how they want to and completely judgmental free. It's great.
Yeah, that's super cool. I did. We don't have to at this point because I think it would take a little bit more setup. I did want to play a tiny bit of Guilty Gear Strive if we could.
Ooh.
Because I have never ever played it. It would be my first time playing it. But I also don't know if it would be too hard to set up within our time. I think we've only been actually live for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because the first 5 minutes was like setup, making sure that our mics were on. Whatever technical issues I forgot about.
I am at your service, Repent. I will be here as long as you want. It is up to you, the time and order, and whatever you want to do.
Okay. Well, then we could maybe switch from the community. Well, we could stay on the community aspect if we wanted to. But what I was gonna say was, like, fighting games. How did you get into them? And I guess, what are some of your favorites? Strive could be one of them. You could go into that. Just are there any other niche ones that you want to talk about?
Oh, niche fighting games. Man, this is Melty Blood is probably the best game I'm at that is niche. How did I get into it? Let's start there. I started by playing in my local mall. My mom would want to go shopping after school sometimes. 5-minute drive to the mall. She hands me $5, and I'm suddenly at the arcade at like age 10. A bunch of college students playing fighting games all the time, and I wanted to like play some. And I didn't care if I lost or won because I couldn't comprehend what winning and losing was quite that well as a 10-year-old. But I started there with Capcom versus SNK 2, and then next to it was Marvel versus Capcom 2, side by side. And I'd go in there, play some arcade. Some dude would show up, beat me. But then, like over the course of 2 years, it happened a little less where I'd lose, and I started learning kind of like, every 10-year-old who plays Fortnite are suddenly good. They don't know how they got good. They just played for 80 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. Like, I couldn't tell you how I got good at fighting games. I don't even think I'm great at fighting games now, but I learned how to play them at least throughout then. The Xbox Live, PlayStation Network Renaissance came with a bunch of fighting games online now. So got into the community that way, played some games, eventually went to some conventions here and there. MLG back in the day. I went to MLG for fighting games. And it just went from there. Just a love for the genre, like every other genre of games I love, racing, shooters, etc. Melty Blood is probably my favorite niche fighting game at the immediate moment. But man, there's so many fighting games I can't even like name a specific niche one. Um, you have to understand that niche in the fighting game community is there's a community like Multi-Blood, like mine, that has like maybe 300 users playing it weekly on Steam, and then there's the person playing like Dengeki fighting Climax, where they have like 5 users, and it's like we all know it exists. It's all we know it's there. That's niche, right? So I feel like a faker calling Multi-Blood niche because we're at Evo this year, right? Now there are plenty of games that wish they were at Evo, so it's a discredit to them to say my game is niche when we're actually going to Evo with ours on the main stage. But yeah, I mean, there's such a big number of fighting games that I have tried out. I've played Million Arthur. There's the one. Yeah, I enjoy all fighting games. I don't like go on a warpath to say I'm a niche fighting game player. I'm gonna play so much Street Fighter 6 when it comes out in 2 months, and that's gonna be the most popular fighting game in the world for years to come until maybe Project L. But even so,
Project L looks really interesting. I'm excited for that too. I want to play Street Fighter 6 as well, but it's so weird going from like I play platform fighters way more. But I see Street Fighter 6 and I see like the dedicated story mode, and that's something that I don't feel like most fighting games have, so I'm excited.
Are you gonna make
that.
Aurora?
Oh, that I haven't even thought of that until now. That would be so cool.
Because I'm gonna make Niavin. As soon as I saw those cat ears, my Twitch chat was like, Niavin, Niavin. I'm like, Niavin, Niavin.
Oh man, that's a great idea. Yeah, I'm gonna steal that now. Sure. What was I thinking though? For the niche thing, that's a really interesting concept to talk about because, like, yeah, what is niche? You could get down into the nitty gritty of what makes that the way it is. And it's like, is this their Multi-Blood is on stage, right? It's not a side event. It's main stage.
It's one of the main stage Evo games. It probably won't be the Sunday finale, of course, but it will. I mean, it's one of the featured games, I guess.
Yeah, that's huge.
I mean, there's a lot of games that never got their time to shine. So I mean, blessed to have the chance. It'll probably be the only. I'll humble brag here a second. I got 7th place at CEO Community Effort Orlando. One of the big 3, I would say. Evo, Combo Breaker, and CEO are the big 3 fighting game tournaments every year. And I got very fortunate to have a relatively easy path into getting a top 8 on a main stage wrestling ring. If you go search CEO 2022 Multi-Blood Type Lumina, you will see GavinXI doing the wrestling ring walk up for that game and then losing 2-1. But that is certainly, at least at my skill level, probably one of the very few times I'll have that opportunity. So sometimes being a niche fighting game pays off.
Yeah, that's a top placement, and you get to walk into a fighting. Did you get to choose the music, or did they have
choose my music?
Oh, that's so cool.
When they asked me, the thing is, if you ever go to CEO, you kind of like think about in the shower, man, what would my wake up music be or walk up music be? And there's like only going to be 30 people out of this 2,000 person tournament who get to pick what their music will be. And then it's like, the TO asked me the question in passing, hey, you're gonna need your walk-up music. Oh no, I actually have to do this. I only have one friend with me at this tournament, by the way. My intro, the people are coming up with these amazing intros. I just tried my best to walk up like a badass. I just do my best. I just try to make it as normal as possible. Try not to embarrass myself. I ended up picking I picked Lost in Paradise, the intro for Jujutsu Kaisen, if anyone's familiar with it, Akko. And they didn't take it because it was licensed.
Oh, yeah.
So I ended up going to the Persona 3 FES Mass Destruction theme.
I'm surprised that's not also licensed. That's crazy.
Video game and wrestling is their guidance. You have to pick something video game related or wrestling related.
Yeah, all right. That'll do it then. That'll work. But yeah, that's really cool. I think that does tie in pretty well with like the community thing and identity thing is where I was trying to go with that. Do you think it's changed anything about yourself to see you go from the kid playing in the arcade to making top 8 at CEO? Does that change anything in your mind, or is it still part of you? Like I know that's probably a bad way to phrase the question, but so often I think we have times in our life where we either have a hardship or we have like this really awesome moment, and we either push it down deep and we don't really want to look at it, or we put it on a pedestal, and we see it as like either below us or above ourselves, when really it's like an encompassing spectrum, actually.
This kind of ties into the whole niche discussion of fighting games too, because maybe for a moment there I was like, man, maybe I am a really good player in multiplayer and I can keep on working on this and get somewhere good with it. Since that CEO, I've not made a top 8. I actually have a pretty losing record overall, at least in competitive matches. And so I think that it's hard to judge where you are and where your own standing is when you're in a niche community. You probably get this from speedrunning a lot. Am I a good speedrunner, or is it just that I'm in this specific community with these specific people? And, you know, I mean, coming to terms with that part of your identity is important for your self-motivation, for your self-motivation. That's a big problem right now, is like, man, is it worth getting better at this game? Am I actually just bad surrounded by good people? Did I get lucky? Do I have something to work off of? I don't know if that answers your exact question, but that's how I feel about like where I stand, especially in that game specifically, Multi-Blood Type Lumina. I have finally, I think that I've mellowed out more or less to where like I'm back to where I was. If I tried harder, I could get good. Do I have the time to dedicate? I don't know. Let's just keep going to tournaments while we figure it out.
That's a really good way to look at it, because I know for me personally, I do get discouraged. You're absolutely right. When I look at this is hard. When I look at my standings on the Kamiko leaderboards for speedrunning, I kind of think to myself and go, I'm never going to take back that first place. I'm never going to get back there. But I kind of surround myself on Facebook, on Twitter, on Reddit with these. I want to use the word echo chambers in a different way. Usually echo chamber is like, you know, the similar viewpoints, political stances, things where you look at how you feel about different foods. But for me, the best type of echo chamber I could even think of is positive reinforcement. And so I just have a bunch of like respectful memes, wholesome memes pop up on my feed. And so very often I'll get that small reminder where what people think progress looks like, and it's like a natural graph going up in a straight line. A very steady curve, and it's like what progress actually looks like, and it's like the sine wave going up and down. And that's something that's hard to remember when you're constantly doing other things. You have a full-time job, you're trying to stream, you're making a video game, you make top 8 at CEO. All of those things contribute towards your progress, positively or negatively. And so you just have to remind yourself that like it's all part of the process. When I look at the leaderboard, there was a specific moment that I knew this was what I wanted to do, maybe forever. And maybe it's a little bit too self-indulgent. But there's a tweet out there where Cicada is the 1 player right now in Kamiko. He has, I think, 4 of the 6 major Kamiko records, between any percent and 100%, and there are 3 different characters. And one time I took the record back from him only a couple of days after he had set the record. And his community, he has a very large community, I would say, for like an average size member on Twitch. Anyway, they were commenting on the tweet because Cicada tweeted out something to the effect of, It's like, we'll try harder next time. We'll take back the world record. Thank you for your support. And the one comment that sticks out in my mind, and it's the greatest thing, is, and you have to click translate. It's translate tweet because they all speak in Japanese. It says, "Big Brother Repent is so good."
Oh man, I have a relatable story to that. Keep going.
That's mainly it. So you could take over from here, but I see that and it sticks out in my mind, and I go, I want to get back to that moment at least one more time in my life. It's one of those things where maybe I will never get back there. Even if I got another compliment like that, maybe I wouldn't feel the same. Maybe it wouldn't hit the same way. But in my head, it's a motivator, and I think those things are few and far between. And sometimes we have a hard time looking for those. So the fact that both of us seem, what's yours? Do you have one too?
We are certainly as much as we know about, as much as we are self-conscious, and as much as we are as much as we understand ourselves, and you know your motivations, nothing beats good old recognition. There is that like just base human want of, man, I want to be recognized for something I'm good at. By someone you respect, or by that respected person's community. The best player in multi-blood type Illumina, and multi-blood in general, in the US at least, is Scront Vermilion. And I was playing in a tournament, a qualifier tournament for the World Tour, for the Nation Tour, for the game. And I got ran over by this dude named Safe. He's one of the top 8 players in the nation. And Scront was just looking at the bracket. I was just tuning into his stream. Safe went right through me in the bracket, and Scront was like, man, it's not like Safe had an easy bracket, you know, Gavin's no slouch. And that's just such a passing comment, but it kind of stuck to me. It's like, well, shit, now I have to like prove that statement to myself. No one in his chat cares. No, Safe doesn't care. Scront didn't watch my game. He's only seen me at CEO. He 32'd me the other a few months ago in friendlies. But man, it like did something to my brain chemistry for a moment there. I'm like, well, shoot, this is, wow, I feel weird about that statement. Yeah, I feel great about the statement, but yeah, I have to go prove that now. Jeez.
Yeah, it's a motivator, and it makes you think like, oh, I can do this. There is something here. It's a really cool feeling.
It's when you get a taste of it. When you get that world record for the first time, when you get that top 8 for the first time, if you're a competitive-minded person, you get a taste of it, and I can't really explain it to people who've not gotten that small taste, and a lot of people don't have the motivation or care to even try it. A lot of people are very not competitive at the end of the day. But if you are, and you get that taste of recognition, or that moment of that moment. It's hard. It's hard to describe what it does to you.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's for people, especially for someone that isn't competitive, if someone got their moment, I think it could change you, and that's kind of what I was asking earlier about like the identity thing, is if you had anything like that. But real quick, I saw that Nightbot kind of sniped you. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Azure Wolf put the was responding to you, was calling it support chamber, not echo chamber. I really like that. I thought that was a great way of putting it. Do you know who Day 9 is?
No, I
Day
don't.
9 TV. Shout outs to anyone in chat who recognizes Day 9. Old time StarCraft streamer, was huge in the esports renaissance when StarCraft 2 came out. One of the first like kind of star casters in that small era of time. He plays a lot of Magic now. Very active in that community. He has a video, and his entire personality is based around the idea of staying relentlessly positive, and to just, you know, to put it very briefly, he just goes over the fact that it's not as if you don't have bad days. It's not as if there's nothing there are times where there's nothing to be positive about. But just kind of having that framework of being relentlessly positive, it changes so much about your outlook on life, and just how to self-motivate yourself. So that's kind of been my kind of aspiration, is to be relentlessly positive when I can. I don't always succeed at it, but I want to aspire at least to that framework.
Yeah, that's a good framework to have. It keeps you accountable, and it keeps you in a mindset where like these things are fixable. This isn't the end of the world. There is something here that we can work on, and that's what I think is important in a lot of those situations. Real quick, Little Guy Inc. Thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. My mom has cancer. Fuck cancer. Absolutely, fuck cancer. We're here for that. My mom had breast cancer twice. She has BRCA1, which is a gene that past your 30s, you have an increased chance to have breast cancer or ovarian cancer. And my sister has that as well. So for sure, definitely fuck cancer. We are here for that. So thank you for the $5. That's all to say. Thank you for the $5.
I will. I'll take this opportunity if you don't mind. I've been announcing this to my community. I don't know if you caught wind of this, but I plan on donating $5 for everyone from our community who speaks up in chat. And I've been keeping track on that on the side, just trying to get people to come out and support us. But if you're from the Gavin community, and we have a lot of overlap, I'm keeping an eye on it. Just say hello and take my money, please, for a good cause.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. Let me see. Let's see, we have about 20-ish minutes. Did you want to try and boot up Strive and see if we could get that going?
I'm down for whatever you'd like.
Okay, let me see. How do I do that? It's gonna blast my ears, isn't it?
It might. Is this your first time launching the game?
It's my first time launching the game. It's my first time playing. It doesn't make me play a tutorial, does it?
It might.
No.
Online tutorial, yes. Yes, it will.
Wait, does it really?
It really does. A small one. A small online tutorial.
Okay. I'll keep it going. I'll see. It's launching the game now. Oh, it took over everything. I can't see you anymore.
Oh, well. I am now a black box on your screen.
Are you actually?
Yeah, I think, well, at least I'm not Strive. Okay.
I don't think that's a good idea then.
No, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay. And yes, that is really loud.
I think that the best part about Guilty Gear is that it is a music album with a game attached to it. That is kind of our community meme we have going on there. It is such a good soundtrack. The sound design, honestly, don't turn it down. As soon as this music starts, just leave it up. It's amazing. This is my actually the Guilty Gear soundtrack. I have a playlist on Spotify, and that is my alarm in the morning. Is waking up to a random Guilty Gear vocal track. It's been amazing over the past 3 months.
I don't know if this is gonna work. It is amazing soundtrack. I have listened to a lot of it. Every time I go into full screen on Guilty Gear, it closes you out of the Discord, like the viewpoint or whatever. So until I can get to a windowed view, it's not gonna show you. And
take your time. You know, it's funny. Set on keys. I see you in chat. How many towns are inside me? I've been playing a lot of Bridget. So Bridget's theme is the town inside me. Amazing theme. I love it. Plenty of people don't. We were talking about Valorant Premier team names, and now we're talking about Street Fighter 6 club names. Now, I'm pretty sure the official Not Gavin's Discord name will be Bridget's entire town. is gonna be what we might go for. Still working on that part, but we're excited.
I'm excited for that too. I'm gonna do a couple of things here real quick. I'm gonna turn off Nightbot for a second. Nightbot is wild and needs to stop sniping all my people.
My lighting has changed dramatically throughout the last hour. It started raining. I've been using natural light, and it started raining, and I brought my blinds down all at the wrong time. All of them happened at the exact wrong time. So now I'm gonna pull my blinds back up to get the light cloud cover, natural lighting back into my room. Hopefully, we'll look good by the time you get me back on screen. Gavin's lighting so bad he turned to a gray box.
Oh, that's what's happening.
I've definitely had a moment the other day at work where I plugged in a camera into my switching device, my computer, back at my tech table, and it was just this gray box. I'm like, what is going on here? Is my camera broken? Do I have like the wrong settings? I look over to the camera, and the camera was pointed straight up at the roof, full zoom. I'm like, yeah, that'll do it.
That'll definitely do it. Hold on. I'm sorry. God, I'm so bad when tech goes out the window.
I think you are with the least judgmental group possible. We are all just happy to be here. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, I am very appreciative that you're here. I think I'm not gonna have Strive played. I'm so sorry for getting everyone excited. I just can't realistically in a timely fashion get Strive set up.
We'll set something up later. Maybe not today, but we will showcase Strive. I would love to help you along with that. We'll make a separate day out of it.
I appreciate you being so forthright with it then, because that is something I want to do. Is Strive looks really fun. I know I won't be good at it, but it's something I would love to look at. So we're in there.
We've actually recently, and shout outs to a lot of my community who are here, we've had a Strive renaissance in my server. A few people tried it for the first time, and then a few more got into it, and then a few more. And all of a sudden we have kind of in all skill levels, kind of like just boot camps and chats amongst each other. A lot of people, little guy Inc. taking credit for it, he can have it. Just all talking to each other into playing some Strive. And it's been a huge blessing coming from a community that's been mostly advanced players playing the game, to kind of like have everyone teaching each other and having, it's just really one of those hashtag community moments.
That's what I love to hear. I love it when communities can come together for a common cause.
It happened very naturally. That's the best part.
What, like, do you guys? That's a hard one. Did you guys always play Strive, or is it just you all liked it and you said let's do this?
I think that what started the recent kind of renaissance. So a portion of my community has always been a fighting game community Discord, and a competitive Discord, but also a lot of variety. That's kind of my raid motto. It's like, hey, I'm Gavin. I'm a competitive gamer with some variety on the side. But there's been a huge portion of my community who watches this from the outside, the variety folks, who are like, man, I kind of want to get into it, but I don't want to take the plunge. And recently, like Little Guy's taking credit, he took the plunge. And that convinced other people to try it out and take the plunge for trying it. And now all of a sudden we have like 10, 12 players who are like kind of at that same skill level, who are quickly discovering how much they love fighting games, right on time for Street Fighter 6. And Project L and Tekken 8 and all. So it's been a joy to watch, especially coming from like a kind of crusty fighting game background of I have to like pull teeth to get people to even try this out and stick to it. Watching it happen naturally is so much better.
Yeah. Getting someone to play a fighting game after poking the bear a while is not usually a great experience. So
no, it's not. I'm a big believer in that. Here's my spiel. Okay.
All right.
I inherently think that all because you are good at fighting games does not mean you are a good teacher at fighting games. Someone who knows a lot about a subject is not necessarily a good teacher. But there's this kind of belief in the fighting game community where people who are not good at fighting games think that people who are good at fighting games are good teachers. And people who are good at fighting games think they're good at teachers because they learned. And if they're a good learner, they must be a good teacher, right? I think that's such a huge problem in the community where someone will come up and be like, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do this. And they go about it the wrong way. They destroy you 50 times in a row. And not everyone has, some people do, but not everyone has the motivation to lose 50 times in a row and stick to a game. It's not. I think that the fun part of the video game gets lost in translation sometimes. And I am completely self-conscious of, I don't think I'm a great teacher. I'm a good motivator. I don't think I'm a good teacher. So I think the best teacher ultimately is going to be, at all times, find people who are your skill level to play with and have fun.
Yep.
That's how Smash got there. That's how platform fighters got there. Everyone can, the fun is built into a platform fighter. It's simple, or there's not as much tech you have to learn. You can press side B and cool things happen. Fighting games are still trying to chase that high.
There's an idea has just popped into my head based on this spiel that you've had, and I think it's a good idea. So later today, today's versus Saturday, which is kind of cool. Yesterday was Friendly Friday. Today's versus Saturday. We're bridging the gap because we were supposed to play Strive, and I didn't have it set up. Whatever. The end of today is my wife Anks and I doing a gaming gauntlet. We'll have 7 different games.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are my specialty. 2 of them are her specialty. 3 of them are neutral games where neither of us, we're not that great. So I'm thinking, would you like to sometimes set up a gaming gauntlet together?
Oh, I would love that. That sounds amazing. I'm more than down for that.
Because not that you are incorrect, but I do take some offense to you hit side B and things happen.
Okay. Can I expand on that a little bit?
You absolutely can. And this is all for fun. I don't mind it at all. I'm not actually offended.
So
just so we're on the same page.
So part of my history is in the platform fighting game community. My local community where I originally live, my hometown, South Carolina, Charleston, did not have a fighting game community, or at least not one that was like brought together. And so I kind of more or less adopted the Smash community as my own while I was there. A lot of my friends are there. A lot of my current friends are there. A lot of my best friends are still avid Smash players in South Carolina. At heart, I love fighting games ultimately more than Smash, but that's what was there, right? And I enjoy playing Smash. I very much enjoy playing Rivals. I enter most Rivals brackets that I can find, Rivals of Aether. The part where I think Smash gets it right from a mainstream appeal standpoint is that when you play a platform fighter like Smash, the entry is much lower. You get to do cool things with much less buy-in. And because of that, you're more willing to play it. But if you got handed Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat, early Mortal Kombat's are a great example because those controls are not intuitive. Like, why am I playing this game? I don't know how. This dude's playing this fireballs, dragon punches. How do I do that? And it's so hard. It's so hard to kind of convince people like you should play this game because you can do cool things. But you don't get taught to do cool things. At least in Smash Brothers and platform fighters, I'm not saying that side B makes you good. I'm saying that side B makes you think you're good and gives you motivation to actually get good.
I do think you're onto something. I think platform fighters have the immediate appeal of so there are button combinations or special inputs in traditional 2D fighters or arena fighters where it's like quarter circle, I don't actually know what it's called, but the Shoryuken like Z
motion.
Yeah, the Z motion. Those are, I would say, very intimidating for new players. And so I think you're right. The game feel immediately in Smash or a platform fighter is you hold side and you hit B, or you hold up and you hit A. And those things are a lot more simple than the form and complexity that traditional 2D fighters offer.
And you can see very obviously that traditional fighters are moving in the direction of more accessibility.
Yeah.
And some of them can't really quite. So this is the big pull. This is the big debate in the fighting game community for everyone not up to date. Do I make my game more accessible at the cost of making it less competitive? And it auto combos, directional inputs, so DNF duel, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid are all you press one button in a direction, you do supers or specials, right? Melty Blood has a really cool mechanic called Moon Skill, where you hold one direction, you press two buttons, and it does a special, but it costs meter, so it's easier, it's stronger, but it costs meter. It's a resource, right? It's built into
Right.
the balance of the game. Project L is going to offer no motion inputs. Street Fighter 6 is going to offer modern controls which have directional inputs. AI dynamic mode offline. It's going to have everyone is trying to it has this arms race of how do we capture the fun of a platform fighter, the accessibility of a platform fighter, and not scare people away from our genre when we put a Z motion in front of them.
Yeah, I think that it's a hard topic because, and I don't want to make it sound like I believe that I'm a completely neutral party, because again, as we've already established, I come from a platform fighter background,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually actively enjoy platform fighters more than traditional 2D or
Mm-hmm.
3D arena fighters. But I think there is something to be said with the platform fighters. The skill doesn't come from it. It's almost like the knowledge check, the guessing games like the RPS and that kind of game, and then the technical knowledge. All three of those, or the technical execution, all three of those are happening at the same time, without the complex inputs. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that barrier of entry has something to be said where we don't necessarily need it anymore. I think it's so hard too, though,
That's tough.
because yeah.
So why is a charge motion a charge motion, for instance? Okay,
Mhm.
so Guile is our kind of forefather of charge characters.
Right.
Guile's charge motion has less recovery than Ryu's fireball, than is Hadoken, but you cannot charge back while moving forward towards your opponent.
Mhm.
Right, so that's intentional balance based on the complex input of a charge motion.
Yeah.
Why is a Shoryuken forward, down, forward? Because you can't block and Shoryuken, right? So some of these things are built in. Some of these things are actually balanced around the fact that they are a complex input. And this is, I think Corey Gaming was the one who did a video on this. There's a character in the game Fantasy Strike that replicates Guile's frame data. Fast projectile, fast to recover, but when he moves forward, Fantasy Strike is a one button fighter. You press one button, special comes out. He loses access to the fireball when he's walking forward, even though it's just a one button press. So there are, there are challenges and there's purpose to some of these things. What's the solution?
Yeah, the solution is going to be based on this is you're right in my wheelhouse. I love game design.
Yep.
Game design is my favorite. You can still mimic some of those things without, like you're saying, it's a one button fighter. You move forward, you don't get fireball anymore.
Yep.
I think you could mimic some of those rules, set them in place without having the complex inputs. Then you would still be promoting to a wider audience, while offering some of the same thought experiments or thought problems that are offered. Like you still, if you do Shoryu, you still can't block. Like it's something that wouldn't be possible. You could program that into the game. All that takes is foresight on the designer's half.
Fantasy Strike's answer to the Shoryuken, by the way, you might find this interesting from a game design standpoint, is that you lose health when you do it.
You lose health when you
lose
Shoryu?
health when you Shoryuken. That's the balance factor. It's interesting.
Different. Yeah.
By the way, this game has like 5 players now, even less. No one plays this game anymore. So this was not the correct implementation at the end of the day, at least from a wider audience standpoint.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we're gonna see. Here's something to keep an eye on. Keep an eye on Street Fighter 6 modern controls. The auto combos built into that mode deal a lot less damage. not because they deal less damage, but the combos that it routes just are not as good as if you manually did a combo. So that's the damage lever was the one they decided to tweak for that.
Interesting. I'll look out for that. That's really cool. Seeing that different companies or different game design is being implemented this way. This is my favorite thing, and I hope Street Fighter does a good job when they do the single player mode, the dedicated single player.
Oh, so exciting. It's gonna be so exciting to have a fighting game with a game attached to it.
Yeah, an actual
game.
Yeah.
That's the difference maker for a lot of people. How many people bought Mortal Kombat just because fatalities were cool? How many people bought Mortal Kombat just because it had a story mode and really cool side modes? Us folks who are just delve deep into the fighting game community really, really fail to realize, why does my game not have mainstream appeal? Because it's not a full video game at the end of the day for a lot of mainstream folks. I'm so excited for Street Fighter 6's story mode because it's going to teach people so much better than I can how to play Street Fighter.
That's something that Pushin and I talked about a little bit. Shout outs to Pushin. When let me think about this. When we talked about why Smash is popular, it is the game feel immediately, but it's also because Melee has the adventure mode and Brawl had the subspace emissary, and it's these different ways to interact with the environment and teach you about fighting games. But even in those, they don't really teach you what things to do in certain situations and then internalize it.
I haven't thought about this much until you bring this up now. It got mentioned, but Street Fighter 6 in its story mode, the opponents will flash when they do something unsafe.
Really?
So they flash white, and if you hit them with a normal, they take more damage. If you hit them with a special, they get stunned. And that emulates real, actual game behavior. It's teaching players that there's this concept of countering, this concept of safe and unsafe attacks. It's like, in a fun way? You mean I don't have to be in a Discord call and explain these things and get ignored? Like, oh my god, dude, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for Street Fighter 6 story mode.
My god, they're learning.
My god, they're learning. I mean, we found an example that's better than Smash at it, you know? Yeah. So, mainstream appeal is not a boogeyman word. It is. If you want your genre to survive, you're gonna need to catch up. Yeah.
Yep. And I think we're gonna end things here. Just one last thing, I wanted to circle back to what we were talking about. If you feel like there's something that you want to go for, I always preach this. This is I have a hashtag on Twitter right now. Haven't done it in a couple of days. It's Aurora Says. If you have something that you think you would like to do, fighting games, speed running, streaming, you really should just go for it. The plunge is always the hardest part, the leap of faith portion. You with the CEO top 8, your fighting game career, me with speedrunning, fighting for that first place position. Pushin Hat just got pseudo regalia world record for the demo version, or not demo, the game jam version of that game. All of those things, you can reach that summit. You might not always stay there, but you have that option to remain there. It's all up to you. And that's something that I think is important to think about. And if you have, do you have anything else that you want to, do you have, shout out your stream, any upcoming projects, anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give the basic one. You can find me on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter. I'll post some links in chat eventually. Upcoming projects. Oh man, that's a good question. We've always got some project going on. We've got a few Pokemon streams that Pushing Hat's a part of. We have a tabletop that's in the works, a big broadcasted campaign, putting all my professional knowledge as I can into one thing. We're still working on that. That's a TBD sort of thing. You'll see it one day, I'm sure. We've always got something going on. So I'll just give that vague. Stop by our Twitch and our Discord to see what's going on at any given time. I'm a very. This is one topic I'm sad we didn't get to, but I'm a very events focused community manager. I want to make my place the place to be, not only to hang out as friends, but to get to do cool things. I am not the I go drinking at a party dude. I'm the let's go bowling dude.
That's a good way to be. Get everyone involved, right?
That's right.
All right, and thank you so much for being on Spiels and Feels, Gavin.
Glad to be here with you.
Yeah, bowling. Bowling is sick. You gotta
ping pong, a little ping pong action.
Oh my god, I love table tennis. Thank you so much. I am gonna go to the bathroom real quick. We will be back. Thank you again for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll be right back, everybody.